Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how I made my eyes glow like the god of thunder. So, some of you might be thinking that, hey Kyle, you made a glowing eyes video quite a long time ago, and I did. However, this design is a new design that I've come up with and I've been wanting to make it for a while, and the reason is because it's now completely wireless. So, the beauty of that means that I can have someone else setting off this effect or a similar one. But it also means that at events, I can take this off without having cables and wires attached to me. Now, I've been wanting to do this wireless system for quite some time. However, I didn't have anything that I could put it into, for example, a Thor helmet. Now, someone else had actually made a gender bender Thor costume, and she'd done the Thor helmet, and she'd used the blacklight LED effect. And she messaged me on Instagram. Now, she goes by the name of Miss X Booth. I'll have a link in the description. Really cool costume. She's got the shield lighting up with what looks like fiber optics. It's a really awesome little build. And I went, you know what, that's a perfect helmet to put it into. So, here we are. Now, today's build, I'm showing you how to do the electronics, not the helmet. There are plenty of videos on that on YouTube by other wonderful YouTubers who have made this helmet. This was just done with some 3D printing from a file that I got off Thingiverse. You can also find that in the link below. 3D printed it, gave it some sanding, then I took some jags out of it, cleaned it up, distressed it, and then added all the electronics. It's an ugly mess in there, and you'll see that very shortly. Now, quick disclaimer before we get on to the how-to of this build. The way this trick works is black light reacting contacts, they react to UV light, and black light LEDs. Nothing special, super simple. However, UV light is harmful. And so if you wear this for, a couple of tricks every now and again, I'm sure it's no biggie. But if you wear this for an extended period of time, for example, you go to a convention for 3 days and you have it pumping the whole time, you're probably going to have problems. So just be responsible and stay safe. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of the video. Please let me know what you want to see in the comments below, and as well as that, if you want to build one of these yourself, you can find all the links to the parts and equipment down in the description below. Thanks for watching, guys.
So a key piece to this particular build is the contact lenses. Now, I've had a lot of people ask where to find these in the past, and the key is to search for UV glowing electric blue contact lenses. Now, these lenses are quite unique in the fact that they cover both the pupil and the iris, whereas most contact lenses will only cover the iris. So once you've searched this up, avoid the Pinterest articles, and you'll usually find pages like these. Now, contact lenses can be a bit tricky because a lot of places actually don't like to import or export them, and you need a prescription for them. So find your local supplier and order a pair of these contacts. Other things you're going to need for this build are some standard electrical wire. You're going to need a DC booster circuit, some blacklight LEDs, the remote control unit, 9-volt battery and its connector, some solder, and a couple of optional features are some 300 ohm resistors and a center off rocker switch. We'll come back to that later. The first thing you're going to want to do is take your voltage booster module, and you're going to find the voltage in positive and negative terminals. After you've done this, solder your 9-volt battery connected to these terminals, black to negative and red to positive. If you don't know what this circuit does, it takes any voltage from 2 to 24 volts DC and allows you to adjust it anywhere between 5 and 28 volts DC. Next, what you're going to want to do is take your multimeter, put it onto the voltage outputs, and there is a small flathead brass screw on the side of the circuit. You want to adjust this, usually counterclockwise, until it gives you a 12 volt reading. The next step is to solder on another positive and negative wire to the end of your booster circuit, and these will plug into the transmitter circuit for this project. Before you do that, however, you need to take a much longer black wire and a fairly short red wire. Twist them around the existing wires you've just soldered to the booster circuit, and then insert them into the voltage input on your transmitter. Now, the reason for doing this is your shorter wire is going to wrap around the circuit and it's going to plug into the middle terminal block. Now, this is the common. Now, the reason for this is the way that the circuit works is when you use the remote, it tells the circuit to allow power through it, and that is what switches on your circuit. So again, as I said, you're going to plug into the middle terminal. Double check on the back of your circuit board that it does say that this is the common terminal. Next step, you're going to take another longer piece of red wire to match the length of the large black wire you made a moment ago and attach this into either of the two existing ports. Your remote has an A and a B on it. These two ports just determine whether it switches on using the A and off using the B, or vice versa if you swap the port around. take these larger 2 wires, strip the ends off, and a really good thing to do now is to actually put on a set of LED strips just to do a test. You're better off testing it as you go rather than get to the end of the build and find that you've made a mistake somewhere and have to problem solve your way back to where you made that mistake. Now that you have completed your circuit and everything is working, you can move on to fitting it into your helmet. Now this doesn't have to be in a helmet, it can be in a hat, a mask, a helmet, anything that you choose to put it into. It's not limited to this. I'm putting it inside of Thor's helmet. The helmet is actually a bit larger for my head in some areas than ideal, but that works for me because the receiver, not transmitter, the receiver is kind of cumbersome, and so you need to find somewhere where you can fit the dang thing. Now the switch and resistor that I've brought up before is an optional part. All that I'm doing is taking the switch and I'm attaching the black wire, which is meant to go to the LEDs, to the center off terminal. I'm attaching a 300 ohm resistor to one of the terminals. Now I've actually got it placed on the one that has the 1 switch, not the 2 switch. So I've got it placed on the one side of the switch, and I'm going to attach that there to another black wire. And on the 3rd terminal, where it's got the number 2, I'm attaching another long black wire to that and connecting those 2 remaining wires. Refer to the diagram for reference. The reason I'm doing this is because I want to be able to adjust the brightness of the LEDs, so if I'm in a dark area I can actually switch it to a lower power and not have it be incredibly bright and make it hard for me to see, and if I'm in a more lighter area I can turn up the power on it. What I've done is connect these using a bit of solder, covered the soldering with some shrink wrap, or some heat shrink, and then again double check to make sure that everything is working. And as you can see, lower and higher power is now achieved using this switch. This is not necessary, this is just a little thing that I wanted to add for my personal preference. Now your next step is to fit inside the battery. Now I used a 9V battery for this build. You don't necessarily have to either. You can use a smaller AAA battery, you can use large batteries, it doesn't matter. The beauty of the booster circuit that you've put into this means that you can choose what battery you want to use for that project. However, it will limit the life of the battery. The bigger the battery will last longer, obviously, than a little button cell. Once you've figured out a place that your battery can suitably go, I've personally just put a little piece of foam over it. This isn't exactly a pretty interior build, but I've made it so that a piece of foam will cover over it, and then it's velcroed down to stop it all from sliding out of place and keeping it covered from my head. Now, after I fitted this, I actually didn't like how it sat inside the helmet, so I actually moved the battery to a slightly different spot on the top of the helmet, and this sat a lot nicer, allowing my eyes to be a bit further away from the front of the helmet, which means that when I fit the LEDs, I can actually have them in place, get a good view on where my eyes are to get the best optimal effect out of the blacklight LEDs. Once you finally have all your components in that mounted in a place where you're happy, you can start to mount your LEDs. Now I chose to initially put these onto a couple of pieces of EVA foam so it would angle them towards my eyes a bit better. I ended up removing them because I found that just being stuck straight to the helmet actually worked best. Now depending on what your project is, you may have to tamper with this a little bit, but foam is usually a really nice, quick and easy way to get this test fitted right. Just use a little dab of hot glue to hold it in place for testing, and once you've found that it's the right way, glue them in permanently. After you've done this, the last thing that you have left to do is mount your switch in a place that's not inconvenient to putting the helmet on, tack your wires down, and hey presto, helmet's done. You've probably realised now too that I've attached the wings of the helmet. These initially were designed to rotate on the spot, however they didn't have any spring detents or locking, so I just glued them in place, and I did this after all the electronics just so that they wouldn't get in the way and get broken.
Okay everyone, that's the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. If you guys want to make this yourself, as I said, the links in the description below will take you to all the parts that you need. On top of that, please send me some photos of whatever you make. I love seeing what people have built. On top of that, if you guys want to support the growth of this channel, please head over to my Patreon. Just give a little, every little bit counts. And as well as that, follow my Instagram and Facebook page to see anything new that's coming up that I might not be posting. Once again, thank you guys for watching so much. Now get to making.